So the other day I was on Facebook and this kid that goes to my school shared a video that was called Loneliness in Medicine. And it was basically just this guy, talking about how medicine is a lonely career and whatever. Anyways, it led me down this rabbit hole of watching other TED Talks and looking at research and statistics about the prevalence of loneliness. And I feel like it's something that we need to talk about because it is very preventable. So, let me break this down for you. I have some facts that I need to read off of this sheet. A Harvard Health study found that loneliness is currently almost as prevalent as obesity. 56% of adults feel that they have no real connection with anybody and that nobody really knows them. 56% of adults. 54% of adults think that they surround themselves with people who aren't really with them. They're just kind of acquaintances, but not, someone that they could rely on. 40% of adults feel that they have no real companionship with anybody at all. And that's just mind-blowing to me. I mean, that's a lot of people. That means well over half of you that are going to watch this, which I guess probably isn't that many people, are lonely in some way, whether or not you know it. And this is a huge problem because if we think about it, humans crave social interaction. We are social creatures. Like, our capacity to love and to connect is unmatched by almost any other species ever, essentially. It is unmatched. And here we are all living in this world feeling lonely. So who cares? Like, if people are lonely, then they're just lonely. Okay, well, let's talk about the fact, and this is also a fact from Harvard Health, that loneliness is an equivalent risk factor as smoking on your health outcomes, as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And it will shorten your lifespan by 8 years. And here we are, again, just walking around like no connections and just head down on my phone, on whatever, essentially thinking I can do it all on my own. So I have some opinions on this. And again, I have some things written down so that I don't just jumble through all of this. So just bear with me here if you care to listen. I think there are certain things that are currently popular mindsets and just social things that we have going on that are contributing to this. First of all, attitude and habits. At least for people my age, I always hear or I see in memes and things like that where it's like, I build my walls up so high, I'm never letting anybody in because I've been hurt. Or I don't need anybody, like I'm doing this for me, like I can do this by myself and I don't need anybody. And I just think that that is just the most terrible attitude to have. Because, first of all, you're making yourself lonely and you're preventing yourself from developing really meaningful connections with a lot of people because you've had experiences where that didn't go so well. But that just doesn't make sense. And I'll talk about why in a little bit here. But to walk around and say, I built my walls so high that nobody's ever getting in and like, you're going to have to work so hard to know me, I think is just very counterproductive on putting in effort to connect with each other. And, of course, in the relationships that I'm talking about, it can be with anyone. It can be your family, your friends, your boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband or whoever, strangers on the street. Because the bottom line is that it's important that you're making an effort to connect with people, even if you feel like it may be completely meaningless in their day. It's like, if 56% of people are walking around feeling lonely, 54% of them are walking around feeling like no one really is there for them, and 40% are walking around like they have no real companions, well then, shoot, we need to help each other out. And the first step is that you don't have an attitude that says, I don't need anyone, I can do this all on my own, because you can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. I don't care who you are or what you do. There is nobody in this world that's body and mind can remain healthy and as highly functioning as possible if you are all alone and lonely. Okay? So next, obviously social media is an issue. And this is coming from someone who loves social media. Clearly, I love social media. However, a lot of people think that they're being fulfilled by the connections on social media or the conversations or the texts even, or like likes on pictures and things like that. that is not helping. And I think that's really contributing to the such a large prevalence of loneliness, is because people think it's helping and it's like a temporary little band-aid thing, and they think that that's fulfilling them. But down to your core, like I'm talking like the way that your brain is functioning, your psyche, and even your physical functioning is not being fulfilled by connections on social media. It doesn't release the same hormones and chemicals and experiences in your brain as does a real connection in person with somebody that you can trust. Social media can be a literal whole video on its own, so we're not going to get too much into it, but I think it's important that we all just agree on the fact that I know most of us do, that social media is not a substitute for human connection. It's just not. And if we're going to continue pretending like it is, then more and more people are just going to continue to be lonely. Another thing that I think is important is kind of goes along with like the attitude and your habits of being alone, but like what you value. And a lot of people, they just don't really see, like it's just that attitude where it's like, I don't care that nobody's over tonight. I don't care that I live alone. I never go out with anyone. I just go to work and come home and do my thing and do my day. And so they don't really value these connections with people or whatever it may be. So it doesn't seem important to them, and therefore they continue being lonely, and that's an issue. Because at the end of the day, you have got to put people first all the time. I don't care who it is. Put them first. And for me, I can't do anything that's like for myself, technically. I can, but I always have to think about it in a way that's like about somebody else, because it's hard for me to motivate myself if it's just for myself. It's like, well, who cares? And so in that regard, it's kind of like you need to be putting other people first. And you need to be putting a relationship with other people first. And first, what do I mean by first? Like, if you've been working all day and you are tired and exhausted every single day and you haven't hung out with someone or gone and done something in a long time, put that person first. Leave work early. Don't go to sleep early. I don't know. But you have to, like, it's so easy to get into this cycle these days where it's just like work, come home, go to bed, work, come home, go to bed, sit on social media for a few minutes. And without realizing it, all of a sudden we have missed like so many opportunities for connections with people, and it's because it's not something that we value. You wouldn't just skip work like because you value money or you value what you do. So you should not be skipping opportunities to connect with other people. You need to make these connections and keep them up, which is, I think the last point is that it takes effort. And relationships with anybody take effort, and it takes vulnerability, and it takes bravery, honestly, that a lot of people just don't want to invest in. And that's an issue. And I struggle with that too sometimes. Like, I'm really busy and I'm studying all the time and whatever else. So, you know, my friends at home, God bless them that they still love me and talk to me, because sometimes I don't reach out or I don't reply to a text message, or like when I'm home, I don't get to see everybody. And it's sad because there's really no excuse. There's no excuse. I need to make a better effort at reaching out to the people that I love and telling them that I love them and that I'm thankful for them, because they're there for me all the time. And I feel like a lot of other people need to do the same thing. It takes effort. And on that note, all these rules, if you're in the older generation, you might not know these rules, but at least people my age, there's all these rules like, if you text someone and they don't reply, if you always have to start the conversation, like you shouldn't. And it's just like, to me, those are so dumb, because we have to be patient with people. We got to understand that people are busy, and it doesn't matter if you start the conversation every time, or if you double text someone or whatever. Just be the bigger person and just be brave and reach out to them and text them first anyways. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they just weren't thinking about it, but I promise you it's important to them. And as soon as you send them that message or say that thing, like, it's going to make their day. And so don't be on some high horse that has you not reaching out to people that you love just because of pride or effort, or, well, their effort doesn't match my effort. You need to start that cycle in your life. You need to start that cycle, because if you are a great friend to people, they will be good friends back to you. There are exceptions. I know people stab you in the back and it makes you just want to never talk to anyone again. We got to get over that, though. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So what do you do? Like, you just want to surround yourself with people that are just acquaintances, so you're always like 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door, so you never really have to like worry about getting hurt or things like that. Like, no. If you truly want to, and I hope that you do, want to not be lonely and develop a cycle like that in your life where you feel like you have no companionship and no connections with people, or that you're lonely, you gotta let your guard down and you have to be vulnerable with everybody, every relationship. You need to be the first person to let your walls down and let somebody else in a way that's like covered in compassion and empathy. So like when you let your guard down and you make them feel safe to let their guard down, you make them feel comfortable, or when you're developing these connections, you're reaching out more often, or you're checking in when you know something's going on, or they have something big coming up. Like, celebrate that with them. Don't just message them when something's going wrong. And don't be that person that only texts your friends if you need something. Like, call them, see them, hang out with them, show them that you know what's going on, show them that you know that they care, and that will come back to you. I promise it will, and it will feel good for everybody. It is a domino effect that we need to start, and we need to stop and drop this attitude of, I can do it on my own, they didn't text me first, their effort doesn't match my effort, I'm never going to ever trust anyone again because I've been hurt a couple times. I get that, it makes a lot of sense, but you've got to forgive people. You just do. I probably forgive too many people. But here's the deal. It takes a lot more energy for me to be upset and to think like, what if they need something? Or what if I could be a positive influence to them? Or what if I could talk to them and maybe they need someone? Than for me to be like, I'm never going to forgive them because they did something. We mess up. People are going to forget to call you on your birthday. You got to forgive them. And you got to love them anyways, because we are just all animals try to survive here, and it's going to make it a lot easier if we can support each other and be there for each other and love on each other hard. And love on each other hard. I would say that one more time. You got to love on each other hard. Like, you have one bad experience and you just put your walls up, and it's like, now it's this game of, I'm never going to let anybody else in. Okay, so if you got in a car wreck when you were 16, you're never going to drive a vehicle ever again in your life. You've got to just, excuse me, I burped. You've got to just let that go. Like, it's hard, and there are people who, like a friend who you needed to be a better friend at a time and they weren't, or a friend who has stabbed you into the back when you thought that you could trust them, or a boyfriend who you needed to be a better boyfriend and they weren't, or a girlfriend who you needed to be a better girlfriend and they weren't, or you were cheated on, or you let somebody all in and then they betrayed you, or a parent who should have been there and they weren't. There are a million examples, and a lot of us have experienced those things, and they absolutely suck. But if you continue to let that pattern persist throughout your life, then you are going to be lonely, and the people that you're around are not going to be any better after being around you, and that is always the goal. That is the goal at the end of the day, every single day, is that whoever you interact with that day, I don't care how mean they are, or how crappy they are, or how bad of a mood you're in, your goal is to make whoever you interact with that day better than before they interacted with you. Whether that's a smile, a hug, and I love you. I literally walk around my school and I tell everyone that I love them. Like, I really do, and I mean it. I will walk out of any classroom, any office, just through the hall and be like, okay, bye, I love you. Maybe they don't think anything of it, but I will never not say it, because I hope that like somebody that I say it to knows that I love them. And So you got to forgive people. You've got to let those bad experiences go. You got to drop the attitude that says my walls are so high, screw you all. It's just a bad attitude to have, and it's not good for you, and it's not good for anybody else, and you have started a negative domino effect where you could easily start a positive one, and it will be a cycle, and it will be reciprocated because good people surround themselves with good people, and it just takes a little bit of extra effort, a little bit of let me focus on this and and make sure that I'm thinking about other people. Try to match the effort when you can, and if ever you can't, and you realize that you could have done better, say that too. Just have humility, love people hard, listen hard, and do it with as many people as you can. You can never be too close with too many people. Like, all my friends are my best friends. I just make everyone my best friend because, okay, like, I'll just tell you everything. There's just no reason to have people that you don't consider like really close to you. So just do it. I don't know. It's just this really makes me sad to think that so many people are feeling lonely and that they have no connection with anyone when it starts with you. Start making those connections with other people, forgive people, reach out to people, tell people that you love them. You need it. Whether or not you think that you need it, we are human and we need connection, real connection, not social media connection, not just the acquaintances that you see at the work office. Just because you're around people every day doesn't mean that you're not going to be lonely. You have got to really connect with people because even if your conscious thought is thinking that you have or haven't or you don't need it, your subconscious mind, physical, body, health, like 15 cigarettes a day is the equivalent of being lonely. That's terrifying. Where are the commercials with Smokey the Skunk about that, So just don't sacrifice the relationships with people for your pride, for your job, or anything like that. There's always a good balance, but right now I kind of feel like the tipping scale has like a lot more weight on jobs, social media. My life is so busy, and like just letting connections that you once had just kind of fall off. And I think it's worth your time and it's worth your effort and to put those back at the top of your list. And that's really all. I know that most people probably don't watch these videos, and that's fine. I just need a way to let my thoughts out without writing in a journal or a blog because that's just way too formal and I can't do it. This was a really long video. Bye.